What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Charlie Savage, and today I wanted to tell you that I haven't uploaded this list since May, and it's now September. I want to just finish rounding these out. It's just kind of time consuming. It's really not that bad, but essentially, for those that don't know, these are basically a compilation of TikToks, YouTube Shorts, Reels, whatever. And they are compiled into this list in the normal YouTube format, but all the segments are under 60 seconds for explaining each game, thus the video length. With that being said, I hope you guys do enjoy, and I will definitely get back to making more and better content soon. Thank you so much. Bye. Coming in at the 40th spot is Rockstar's ever-presently relevant and re-released Grand Theft Auto 5. This game has sold over 160 million copies and will probably pass that by the time this comes out, again on next-gen systems since they're selling it for $10 for an upgrade. A fantastically well-written story, a fun-filled playground and new and lively settings based on Los Angeles, a lot of additional content since the online has been added. Listen, there's not a lot I can say about this game that hasn't already been said before. Personally, I just love being able to have a destructive world I can escape to sometimes. It's overly violent, it's ridiculous, and I love it for that. Want to go rob a store? Sure. Go to a strip club? Sure. Get on a cop chase? Yes. I'd recommend it, but everyone owns this game. You've all played it. Jumping and shooting its way onto the list is Capcom's certified NES classic Mega Man 2. This is by far and away my favorite Mega Man game. It's also one of my favorite 2D platformers ever. Mega Man 2 is a truly iconic game, everything from its character design, its level design, its soundtrack, and its incredible gameplay loop. The game basically has two mechanics, jump and shoot. With these core mechanics, you're able to beat the entire game. Each level is based around a boss. Once you beat the boss, you gain their powers. That power is more effective against another boss, and thus the gameplay loop ensues. There are many instances in which you'll realize some items are better for dealing with certain enemies in addition to the bosses. This game is just challenging enough to take a while to struggle through, but not so bad that you would ever have to give up. In fact, it's probably the easiest in the series, which makes it the perfect place to jump in. Fighting its way into the list at the 38th spot is Final Fantasy VII. The original PS1 game was released back in 1997. This JRPG classic follows the tale of a former soldier named Cloud, and a plot that's way too much to explain without spoiling it in a 60-second TikTok. But in short, he helps out some eco-terrorists that want to save the planet, things go wrong, he meets a cute girl or two, and then he has to fight the super evil dude, and everything gets way out of hand, and I'm not going to say much more because there is so much more that goes into this. The game was partially remade and is out, and I highly recommend to go play that version as well, although I haven't finished it and it's not going to be on the list. But do yourself a favor, go back and play the game. It's available on so many platforms. The story and the gameplay are fantastic if you like active turn-based JRPGs. Also, the music is incredible. Nobuo Uematsu really outdid himself there. Just go play the game. Even if it doesn't look the best visually, the gameplay still holds up really well, and I still think it's a really fun time. Gliding into the 37th spot on the list is Spyro the Dragon, another PlayStation 1 classic title. Developed by Insomniac Games and published by Universal Studios and released in 1998, Spyro the Dragon is a super basic and fun 3D platformer that follows our purple dragon protagonist Spyro as he has to save all the dragons as they've been turned into statues. The story isn't super relevant, to be honest. It's all about the gameplay, and there aren't a lot of games quite like Spyro. Sure, there are a lot of collectathon 3D platformers, but no control quite like Spyro. Additionally, the game's world has a strong sense of identity, and it's accompanied by some incredible music, produced by Stuart Copeland, the drummer from the band The Police. The game is very much still worth your time, and although new players, you might want to get the remastered version, I still recommend it. Crashing its way onto the list at the 36th spot is Naughty Dog's 1998 release, Crash Bandicoot Warped. This is another classic 3D platformer. Crash Bandicoot is an absolutely iconic character, and this is the third iteration in his series. I still believe this is the best of the original trilogy on the PlayStation 1, even though it may be somewhat repetitive in terms of level theme. I absolutely love the difficulty escalation, the type of levels, they're all fun, and the added time trials definitely make things replayable. Additionally, I love the boss fights in this game, and not to mention all of the time travel involved. Everything about this game is absolutely stellar. I highly recommend it to anyone who has any chance to play it, and much like the Spyro trilogy, has been remastered for current generation consoles and PC. Adventuring its way onto the list at the 35th spot is Nintendo's 1998 classic, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Often considered one of the greatest games of all time, Ocarina of Time is a must-play for anyone. Even though it hasn't aged the most gracefully, the adventure in the game's initial vision still lives on and is as strong as ever. Despite using an N64 controller, what is here is an incredible game telling a time-traveling adventure that is also a coming-of-age tale. The combat is fun and engaging, the world design and sound design are iconic, and so is Koji Kondo's wonderful score that accompanies one of gaming's greatest adventures. If you consider yourself a gamer, consider this required reading. Yes, it's old and it may not be your favorite game, but it is certainly an unforgettable experience that I highly recommend. Jumping onto the list at the 34th spot is the first video game I ever played, Super Mario World. Originally released in 1990, Super Mario World was the premier title for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This is what I consider to be a perfect 2D platformer. Everything about this game, from its sprites, to its music, to its level design, is just absolutely stellar and top-notch all the way around. To this day, whenever someone mentions Mario, hell, even video games, this is the first thing that comes to mind. It's truly one of the best games that I've ever played, and I can't recommend it enough. If you somehow still haven't played this game, literally just play it, man. It's absolutely perfect. Shooting its way into the 33rd spot on the list is Jaeger Development's 2012 release, Spec Ops The Line. Spec Ops The Line, in short, is a third-person cover-based shooter with maybe one of my favorite stories in all of gaming. The game follows a trio of US Delta Force soldiers into a sandstorm-destroyed Dubai. The rich escaped and the poor were left to die. The soldiers were sent to do reconnaissance for the United States to find out exactly what happened. What happens from there is every reason why you should play. In short, the game is about trauma, PTSD, and it portrays mental illness incredibly well with the weight and seriousness that such a topic should be handled with. It's a game with several decisions, multiple endings. Its length is about 6 or 7 hours, which makes the game super replayable. Overall, if you're looking for a narrative-driven title with a lasting impact, I highly recommend Spec Ops The Line, as it is a game that will stick with you for the rest of your life, undoubtedly. Racing its way onto the list at the 32nd spot is Nintendo's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that I feel like everyone has played, but where do I even start? Surprisingly, when I think about this game, the first thing that comes to mind is the wonderfully jazzy soundtrack and its anti-gravity drifting. The game still has trick jumps for boost, paragliding, and dual items that were used in Double Dash. This game is filled to the brim with wonderful and iconic tracks, some new and some classics from previous titles. The game has a wonderful art style and a great cast of characters. The initial DLC that were included in this game are fantastic, but what's even better are the 48 new tracks coming this year for just a $25 price tag. Overall, this is a fantastic game to play in general, but especially with friends, I can't recommend it enough. Do yourself a favor, cop this game immediately if you already haven't done so, and have the time of your life. Grappling its way onto the list at the 31 spot is Avalanche Studios' 2010 release Just Cause 2. Just Cause 2 is an absolutely absurdly large open world game. This game is either a completionist nightmare or wet dream depending on how you feel about absurd open world games. But honestly, most of the completion percentage is just blowing stuff up, which is always fun, then finding boxes and a few different challenges. But this game doesn't even expect you to complete it. You can get the platinum trophy without finding everything. The game has a wonderfully ridiculous story about overthrowing an authoritarian autocratic leader in Southeast Asia in a fictional country called Panau. It's an action-packed title that's the ultimate sandbox, or at least it was at the time, but it holds up so well. Even the traversal with the grappling hook and parachute is fantastic, and it's a standout feature of the game. The combat is simple and solid. At worst, it can be quick time heavy, but I honestly don't think that hinders the experience too much. Overall, I highly recommend this game, and it's just so incredibly slapped on.